Okay, so for this month's personal fiction story, it's one I've been waiting to tell for a long time. Wrote the story a while ago, quite a while ago, actually. This is very rewarding for me, trust, and especially that it's coming in July. This is the story of the Weak Scrub. Part one, meeting up with Ashley. It was the summer of 1994. I had defended my master's thesis, finished my graduate level coursework, and I was leaving West Virginia for a year to complete my doctoral internship. I was looking forward to the change. My grad program had been intense, and even though I was around people a lot of the time, I felt very lonely in West Virginia. I went on some epic adventures at that time, but also had some truly life-changing traumatic experiences. I packed up my car, my cats, and all my worldly possessions and drove across the country to Seattle. After several long days of driving across the country in a car packed with my essential stuff and two cats, I finally arrived at my destination, my childhood best friend's townhouse in Puyallup, Washington. I met Ashley when we were both 5 years old, when her family briefly lived in my hometown in Canada. When they moved away a few years later, she and I kept in touch. We visited each other often over our school breaks during our childhood, as well as getting up to a bunch of shenanigans growing up together as teenagers. That Bambi tattoo on my shoulder? Yep, the result of one of our teenage adventures together when we were 16. She got Thumper. We continued to keep in touch when I moved to Victoria for college and had such a blast together in the late 80s, early 90s that were our young adult years. Even after I'd moved to West Virginia, I stayed with her for a few days during the 1 year I flew back to the West Coast for the winter holidays while I was in grad school. When I had to choose between Seattle or St. Paul for my doctoral internship, part of the decision to choose Seattle was because then me and Ash could be roommates for the year. So I was more than a little bummed when no one was home when we showed up that day. I left the motel I'd stayed in the previous night early to avoid the holiday traffic as much as possible and to get to Ash's place in time for us to grab breakfast together, one of our traditions. So I sat in my car and waited, and waited, and waited. After a few hours, Ashley showed up wearing clothes from the night before and carrying her shoes in her hand. Classic walk of shame style. As she's unlocking her front door, I get out of my car, walk up behind her, and say, "Hey." She turns around, grins at me, and says, "No way, you're here," and gives me a big hug. "Get your stuff. We're going to a 4th of July party." Typical Ashley. So I bring the cats and my stuff inside, and we get settled at Ashley's place. She takes a shower first, and as I'm taking a shower, she cooks us breakfast. She fills me in on what she got into the night before and why she was just returning home at 10 a.m. the next morning. I couldn't be mad at her and just laughed, thinking about how much fun we were going to have this year in Washington. I ask her what we're going to get into today so that I know what to wear. She tells me that we're going to swing by the apartment of a guy that she's been dating, Jeff. And from there, we're heading over to a party hosted by a friend of his roommates. I should have known how unpredictable the weather in the Seattle area is, having spent plenty of time there growing up. But I chose to wear a skirt and didn't layer up, as one always should in the Pacific Northwest. But after driving across the country and being in a car all day for the past few days, I was ready to clean up, look cute, and have some fun. We head over to Jeff's apartment around noon. It was a shabby, run-down building in Milton, a town just bordering Puyallup. I noted a few sketchy characters eyeballing the car as we rolled up, but reminded myself to keep an open mind. We got out of the car and headed up the stairs to Jeff's apartment. In retrospect, I always think it's kind of ironic that on the day the United States celebrates its independence, I was about to meet the person who would trap me for the next 22 years of my life, my own personal Margaret Atwood dystopia.